Good morning, good evening to all of you wherever you are. This is the first session of our Business Analyst Training Program, also called as ECBA Certification Training Program. This is for all the learners and aspirants who want to become and transition to business analyst role, or who are new to business analysis, or very early on in their career, they want to learn the formal BA skills. In this course, we cover all the tools and techniques relevant to start your career or to perform your responsibilities as a business analyst. My name is Abhishek Shrivastava. I have close to 29 years of experience in the IT industry. I have worked in the business analysis, project and program management fields. I've also worked with companies into banking and financial services industry. Over the years, I have written books on business analysis. These books are available on the Amazon and other websites. I'm also an IIBA ECBA certified professional. So what's on the agenda? So I'll start by setting up the context for this course as well as the business analysis. Then I'll talk about who is a business analyst, and then in detail what is the role and responsibilities of a business analyst. I'll also discuss about skills of a business analyst. Then I'll give you an overview of the course. I'll also talk about the certification, which is ECBA certification, and what is the book on the basis of which ECBA exam is conducted. That book is called BA or Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. I'll also give you a quick demo of our TechEdge portal, a completely homegrown LMS portal which Techcanvass development team has designed. So let's get started. The first thing, let's try and understand the context. What are we going to talk about? When we say business analysis, what do we mean by that? So let's consider any business in today's world. Businesses are operating in a highly competitive environment. So they need to compete with other companies. They also need to look at customer service. They also need to look at if there are too many complaints on their products. So they need to take care of all this, and they also need to listen to what does the customer say. Now for all of this, the businesses are looking to find efficient solutions which can address these problems. So for example, a particular company which has released a new product, now they're facing a lot of customer service issues. It could also be related to that they have launched an online account opening portal for insurance products, but it is not working well, which means they need to address that. Now for all of that, they need to figure out what is the best way to address this problem. And for that, it could be possible that they need to modify the software, they need to develop a new software, or they need to add few more team members or replace a few team members, which means what I'm saying is that to address a business problem, companies need to either have an IT software or a non-IT solution or a combination of the two. Now, if it happens to be an IT software as a solution or a change as a solution, then that is given to the IT company to handle. What does the IT company do? The IT company forms a team to handle this particular change or to develop an application. That team manages this change, also known as a project. So a software project essentially means that it is going to address a particular problem for a customer. Now, what is specific about a project is that it's a fixed tenure endeavor, meaning it has a start date, it may also have an end date. So if it is a fixed duration project, we call it as a project. It is possible to have projects which are long term, and that is generally now referred to as products. So once the project starts, then there is a team which is formed. So what is the structure of the project team? Who heads the project, and where does a business analyst fit into the project team? So we'll understand that, and then we'll start looking at what does a business analyst do. So what is the structure of the project team? As you can see in the image on your screen, the project teams are typically headed by the project manager or a project director. Now the project manager, project director is the first person which is assigned to the team. And under the project director or the manager, there are team leads, business analysts, tech architects, and testing manager. Team lead essentially is the technical lead who manages the development team. So under the team lead, there will be developers who will be reporting to the team lead. In addition to that, and another important part of the development team is the testing team. So testing team is headed by the test lead or the test manager. So multiple testers will be reporting to the testing manager. In addition to that, there could be a technical architect who will be responsible for designing the software. We'll talk about designing in a bit. And then there's going to be a business analyst or a team of business analysts who will be responsible for capturing the requirements from the customer as well as detailing it out and putting into a document. So as you can see, these four roles, testing manager, technical architect, business analyst, and team lead, they all report to the head of the project, which is a project manager or a project director, depending on the size of the project. If the project is too big, there could be a hierarchy. So there could be a project director under which there will be multiple project managers. If it's a smaller project, the project manager itself will head the project. Now, having understood the position of the business analyst, now let's have a look as to broadly. First, we'll have a broad look at what does a business analyst do or who is a business analyst, and then we'll have a detailed look at the role of a business analyst. So a business analyst works as an intermediary between the business and the technology team. Now, this is a 40,000 feet view of the business analyst role. As I mentioned, we'll have a detailed look in a bit. So as an intermediary, how can we understand the role of a business analyst? So when the business needs to develop a software to address a problem, the business analyst collaborates with the business to understand what does the business want. So the focus is on understanding what. After understanding the what, the business analyst details it out and creates a detailed requirements specification document, which he or she then shares with the technology team. On the basis of that, the technology team develops a software and then informs the business analyst that this is done. The business analyst then does the final round of testing, which is very important. Before, the business analyst then again collaborates with the business to help them test the software. This is known as UAT or user acceptance testing. Once the UAT is successful, then the business accepts the software, makes the final payment to the IT company, and makes the software operational. In IT industry, we also call it as going live, LIVE. Okay, so that completes the entire cycle for a project. You remember the project that we talked about just a bit back. So this was the high-level view of the role of a business analyst. Now we'll move on to understand the role of the business analyst in detail. And for that, we need to first look at the software development process itself. The software development process or the software development lifecycle methodologies. So let's have a look. Software development process, just like any other process, will start with the planning. As people say, if you don't know where you are going, you can reach somewhere, which means you will reach maybe nowhere and you will never reach where you intend to reach. So planning is an important aspect of every project. Whether you are building a flyover, you are building a bridge, you are building an expressway, you are building a car. It has to start with a plan. So plan actually helps you achieve the goal and it provides a direction. So just like that, planning is the first step. Once the planning is complete, the planning will phase out all the things which are supposed to be done, which are required to develop a software. So what is the first thing which we do after the planning? So the first thing which happens is related to requirements. I call it as requirements development. Why development? Because when you start understanding the requirements from the customer, it's at a very high level. We call it as business requirements. But the software cannot be developed just by using the business requirements. It needs to be developed into a detailed requirement set before software can be developed. So we need to have an expertise to develop the business requirements into detailed systems requirements. And that is what happens in this phase. The next phase after requirements development is system design. Now, whenever you hear a term called design, what comes to our mind is aesthetics, the user interface design or the prototype. That is also part of the design, but here we are talking about the design of the system itself. So for example, my favorite example is always to compare a 5-story building with a 50-story building. Let's say you have to construct a building of 4 flats per floor of 1000 square feet, and that building is going to be 5-story in height, means 20 flats, versus you have to make 4000 square feet flats per floor, but you have to erect a 50-story building. Now from an overall construction pattern, the structural aspects, it looks to be similar, but there's a big difference, and the difference comes because of the weight of the building on the foundation. 20 flats of 5 floors versus 50 floors of 4 flats. The load of the 50-floor building is 10 times more than the 5-story building, which means the foundation has to be 10 times stronger, or at least stronger to withhold 10 times more weight than the 5-story building, which means it requires more steel, it requires more concrete, it requires more strength. So it also requires more number of pillars maybe. Who does that design? Who gets the accurate number of pillars to be erected, the amount of steel, amount of concrete? These people are called structural engineers. It's a specialized field. Similar to that, when we are designing a software, we need to understand how many users it's going to support. An internal application for leave management is a very less demanding application because not everybody is applying for the leave at the same time. So maybe 5, 10, 15 employees going to the application together. But consider Amazon.com, consider Flipkart.com. Millions of customers go to the website at the same time. The capacity of these websites is very different from a leave management system. So what does it take to be able to support 1 million customers? That is the design. And that is done by technical architect. I did mention about the technical architect role when I was discussing the project team. Now you understand why they are there in the team. So this is a pure technical job. Now, how do they design? Obviously, the design or the demand for these kind of requirements come from the requirements itself. So this is also based on the work in the previous phase, which is the requirements development. Now, after the requirements are captured, the design is done, then the next step is coding and testing. This is the place where programming is done. So the technical lead come into picture at this place, who then manages the team to do the coding part of the software. Then once all the coding is done, or in parallel the testing is conducted, so that the team can say now the software is ready. Finally, this goes to the customer for conducting the UAT or user acceptance testing. And once the customer is happy with the software, then it is made live. Apart from these 5 phases, we have 2 more things. One is verification validation. What happens here? In the verification validation phase, the customer tests the software, that is UAT, but at the same time, at every phase, the team also does the testing. So the team looks at the requirements document, looks at the design document, look at the codes written to ensure that it is up to the order. It follows the quality standards expected in the project. So verification validation is shown from starting from planning till the end, which means it is something which is done in every phase. Finally, the monitoring and oversight. Now this is a phase where, or this is a process rather, where a project manager is involved. What does the project manager do? They will look at every activity and see if it is happening on time or it is not happening on time. If it is not happening on time, it's not going to finish on time. They need to take some action or corrective actions so that it can be finished on time if required. So the monitoring and providing the oversight is the project management function. So now, having discussed the software development process or SDLC, now it's time to have a look at the involvement of the business analyst and the responsibility of the BA in every phase, starting with planning. What happens in planning? In the planning phase, the planning for the software happens. Now, business analyst is expert in one particular set of activities which is related to requirements. So they can provide the input to the project manager about how can we do the requirements activities. How much time will it take? Whom do we need to meet? All those aspects, a business analyst can provide input to the project manager so that the project manager can plan it. The overall responsibility for the entire project lies with the project manager. Same way, like the business analyst is providing input, others can also provide the input to the project manager so that the plan for the entire project can be developed. Now, in the requirements development phase, business analyst is the responsible person, which means this is where they do the maximum work. In fact, they are responsible for this. So everything which happens in the requirements development is done by a business analyst. We'll discuss about the specifics of this when we are discussing the case study. Then comes the design. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the design is done by the technical architect, but that is also based on the requirements captured by the business analyst. Typically, a design team comes into picture for non-functional requirements. So, requirements related to performance, requirements related to availability of the system, security, and so on is taken care by the design team. Business analyst is more like a consultant because if they have any questions on the requirements or clarifications, they can check with the business analyst. Then in the coding and testing phase, again business analyst is a consultant where they provide the inputs to the coding team on functionality related aspects. Finally, the UAT. Here again business analyst role becomes very important. Why? Because the business analyst is a person who was involved with the customer in capturing the requirements, which means when the customer is looking at the UAT or the software during the UAT, they need to really question the business analyst as to why this requirement was not addressed, or if they ask for something which is not part of the original scope, business analyst can immediately point out that it's a change. So the involvement of the business analyst during this phase is quite important. Other team members, including the project manager, will also get involved because if there are certain issues with the software, the development team will fix it, the testing team will test it before it goes back to the customer for testing again. All right. So these were the responsibilities of the business analyst in these 5 phases. Now, what about the verification, validation, and monitoring and oversight? So in the verification and validation phase, business analyst role is also needed. Business analyst can review the work of other business analysts. And if I am a business analyst, my work can be reviewed by my colleague and his or her work can be reviewed by me. So business analysts also play a role. In terms of monitoring and oversight, business analysts can directly monitor their own work, and if they manage a team, they can manage or monitor the work of the team members, the business analysts. If they are working alone, it's also business analyst's responsibility to inform the project manager in case a particular task is going to be delayed, so that the project manager can take the best decision in the interest of the project and the customer. So in this chapter, we had a detailed look at the role of a business analyst in a software development process. Now we are going to talk about the skills of a business analyst. As a business analyst, you require several skills, and these skills are required. Not all of these are required together, but at different stages, you need to use different kinds of skills to be able to perform your responsibilities. Some of these skills are required by the entry-level business analyst, and some of these are required later on in your career. I have categorized these into 4 broad modules, and I call it as craft framework. We start with the soft skills. So soft skills play a very important role for every business analyst. And soft skills are related to communication, interaction, and behavior. So why do you need these skills? When you are communicating the requirements either with this customer or with the development team, you need communication skills. You need to work closely with the stakeholders on both sides. You need to know how to facilitate the activities in a project. So facilitation can be related to requirements gathering, it could be related to testing, it could be related to UAT, and so on. It can also involve training the customer, especially for UAT. If the customer is going to test the application, then they need to be trained. Why? Because the customer is new to the software. So they need to first understand how to use this software. So there you need to provide the training as well. So these are some of the soft skills which are required to be learned as a business analyst. The next set of skills is related to your core business analysis activities, which includes elicitation techniques, use cases, process diagramming, prototyping, understanding the agile, understanding various other skills, tools, and techniques which are essential to perform your activities as a business analyst. This could also include preparing SRS document. The third skill is functional knowledge, the business knowledge, or the type of business for which you are going to develop a software. It's very important to be familiar with that business domain, because that will help you in understanding the real problem, the pain points of the customer. So in the beginning, if you are starting your career as a business analyst, it may not be a mandatory skill, but later on you will realize that this becomes extremely important. So as a business analyst, whether you learn it in the beginning of your career or not, but as you go along, it is the most important skill for every business analyst, as important as soft skills and core BA skills. Last but not the least is the ability to quickly test the software and ensure that it is as per the customer's expectations. Because remember, customer has given you the requirements. So it's also quite likely that they're going to question you if you're not able to deliver the software which they expect. So you should be at least confident about what is being delivered and whether it's up to the mark or not. So these are the 4 categories: soft skills, core BA skills, functional or domain knowledge, and functional testing. As I mentioned earlier, the domain knowledge may not be a mandatory skill if you want to become a business analyst, but later on it becomes extremely important. So this was the section on skills required by a business analyst. Now let's talk about how do these skills get covered in the course which ECBA certification training or the business analyst training for beginners is. This course has dual objectives. The first objective is to help you learn all the formal BA skills required to become a business analyst, or which are required at the entry level. Second, it also helps you prepare for the ECBA certification exam, which is an IIBA entry level certificate. So if you look at the percentage distribution, 60% is on learning formal BA skills and 40% on the ECBA certification preparation. Now on the formal business analysis skills, what are the things which we are going to cover? So the first thing which we'll cover is of course the SDLCs. You have seen the basic of SDLC, but we are going to learn about waterfall and the agile. Most of the projects in today's world are done using agile, but please note that there's still some elements of waterfall which is still being used. So we'll talk about hybrid model as well. We'll talk about how does a business analyst gather requirements or elicits requirements. What are the different techniques like interviews, workshops, and so on. We'll also see how does a business analyst work in an agile environment. We'll also see some of the critical business analysis techniques which a business analyst needs to use in the project. For example, use cases, process modeling, prototyping, user stories, writing of requirement specification document, which we call it as SRS, BRD, FRS, FRD, and so on. Multiple names are given to these kinds of documentations. We'll also see how do you manage changes in a project. In most of the cases, these days the projects undergo a lot of changes during the maintenance phase. In fact, sometimes the entire application gets changed in the maintenance phase. That's the name of the game in today's world. None of the companies can become complacent or comfortable in whatever they have. Competition is so tough that you need to change, which means the software applications also need to change. We'll also see what is verification and validation. The course also covers business analysis tools, which is Jira, MS Visio, and Pencil. So Jira is the project management tool where you manage the requirements and also project management activities can be done. MS Visio is a tool which is used for drawing use case diagrams or process diagrams. Now, this is a paid tool by Microsoft, but there are many free tools also available. So we cover one paid tool which is MS Visio and another tool which is free. Then there are prototyping tools. Pencil is one of the prototyping tools. It's a pretty simple to use tool and you don't need any designing skills to be able to create prototypes. Okay, there are several tools. Pencil is one of the easiest to use. It's a free tool, the most important part. Then we'll have one session on SQL where we'll learn the basics of SQL and, to be very precise, the select statement, how to write select statements to get data from the database so that you can create reports, and later on you can use the same skills to even create dashboards, which is also known as data visualization. As far as ECBA certification exam is concerned, we are going to cover the entire syllabus for the ECBA exam. I'll talk about it in a bit. So BA or BABOK is the business analysis body of knowledge. This is a book published by International Institute of Business Analysis, Canada. All the business analysis certifications like ECBA, CCBA, and CBAP are based on this book. So when you are preparing for the ECBA exam, you have to follow BABOK because the questions are only based on BABOK and you have to answer also on the basis of BABOK, otherwise it will be counted as a wrong answer. Now this course is a completely hands-on course. We have a lot of class exercises, class discussions, we have 2 class projects and 1 course project. All of these have been designed to help you really get a lot of confidence once you finish your course. If you have any questions or any doubts on this, you can connect with us on the given email ID on your screen. Now it's time to talk about the ECBA certification. What is this ECBA certification and what does it take to get ECBA certified? As I mentioned earlier, ECBA certification is offered by International Institute of Business Analysis, which is based out of Canada. This certification does not expire. So once you get it, it's valid for life. Second important point, you can take this exam from home. So IIBA, in collaboration with PSI, this exam is conducted by a proctor. So the proctor is always there to watch you, but the proctor will never appear on your screen. They will watch you silently. So, but you can take it from home. If you have good internet connection and a machine, you can take it from home. ECBA exam is comprised of 50 questions, which is to be completed in 1 hour. All the questions are multiple choice questions and only one answer is correct. There is no negative marking. ECBA exam is based on BABOK or BA-BOK. which is Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. The latest edition is version 3. Now, what does this book contain? This book is all about business analysis practice. So, how IIBA has described the business analysis practice. So, business analysis is a pretty broad term. So, that has been divided into 6 areas. These areas are called knowledge areas. What are these 6 knowledge areas? Number 1 is business analysis, planning and monitoring. Number 2, elicitation and collaboration. Number 3, requirements analysis and design definition. Number 4 is requirements lifecycle management. Number 5, strategy analysis. Number 6, solution evaluation. These are the 6 knowledge areas for business analysis. Now, these knowledge areas itself are pretty broad, so they have further been subdivided into tasks. So, each knowledge area will have certain tasks. So, some of them have 4, some of them have 6. Each of these tasks are executed by business analysts using certain techniques. These techniques basically help you in doing tasks more efficiently. One of the tasks could be conduct the elicitation, which means meeting the customers, doing some research and so on. Now, in order to do so, what will you do? You'll use interviews. You can use workshops. These are the techniques. So, by using the right technique, you can do the task more efficiently. And that is where techniques come into picture. So, Babak also has a chapter on techniques. There are 50 techniques in that chapter. Then there is a chapter on competencies or underlying competencies. So, in addition to using a technique, you also need to have certain competencies. Like for example, presentation skill. To be able to communicate the requirements effectively with the stakeholders and with other related members, you need to be able to present it effectively. So, these are covered under competencies. Finally, there is a chapter called perspectives, which is about what is the approach which we are taking to execute a project. Is it an agile approach or is it a traditional waterfall approach? So, there are 5 perspectives given in this book that may not be all the perspectives used in the industry right now. But Babak describes 5 of these. In addition to that, there is a business analysis key concept chapter where Babak talks about certain important keywords and concepts related to business analysis. For example, functional requirement. For example, non-functional requirement and so on. So, this was a very quick brief overview of Babak. We discussed these things in detail in the course. So, I have talked about the entire course, what does it cover, the projects and the certification part of it. So, just to summarize, this course has dual objective. It helps you learn formal BA skills in a hands-on manner and also allows you to practice and apply those skills in projects. It also helps you prepare for the ECBA certification exam. Just to add to this, we have a TechEdge portal. So, the portal basically is a consolidation of all the things which you are going to get as part of the project. So, TechEdge portal is homegrown LMS portal developed by Techcanvass software development team. So, over the years, we have matured this product. It's a pretty simple to use but very effective LMS portal. This year, we have completed 6 years of this particular app. Now, let me show you how does this portal look like. So, this is the home screen of the TechEdge portal. It is accessible at techedge.techcanvass.co. So, you have to use your user ID and password which you get once you enroll for the course. Now, as I log in into this, you can see the dashboard where you can see my courses. So, whatever courses you have enrolled for, you can see it here. If there are more than 2 courses, that also you will get access to. So, we keep on conducting webinars which are very useful sessions on various business analysis and other topics. As you can see here, this is an upcoming topic on 27th of December. I am recording this video on 21st December. Then there are other parts to this particular dashboard. You can also get access to various blocks on business analysis, project management, and Scrum Master. There's also online game portal, which is basically quizzes on various topics. That is called Skillster. It's going to come up pretty soon. You also earn T points by enrolling into the courses. So if you earned it, it will show you here and you can redeem it whenever you want. Now I can click on the course to go to the course. So I take you to the ECBA course portal, where you can see the first tab is about My Courses. This is where you will get all the recorded sessions here. So this will be displayed in this section. I can go back to the course browser and see that there are multiple other sections. There are quizzes, practice exercises, and study plan. So you can download this study plan and prepare for ECBA exam. Then there are questions for practice. So you can prepare for the ECBA exam by using ECBA question bank. There is also a course completion test which will earn you a certificate, which you can use it for your profiles online. Then there are course books, there are course materials which are available in digital format. There are various things which are pretty useful for you. So there are two course books which we provide. These are both digital edition. One is our revision guide on BABAP and one is a handbook which talks about various formal BA skills. So you can open it and see it. Then you have a revision table, very short revision table, just 15 to 20 pages, which covers the entire BABAP. In addition to the projects which we do as part of the course, you can also have two other solved course projects. And there are a lot of case studies which are also provided to you, where you get all these documents listed. Then you have various other resources, including the template. So we provide you a lot of templates for free. So you can download, for example, SRS template. There is also reference library where various useful materials are available. So another important thing which I want to show you is issues. So you can, if you have any problem, anything which you face, you can report that issue by typing in here and typing the description. That will help you in getting the issues resolved. I advise you to put the screenshot also whenever you are facing a problem. You can also look at your profile, you can upload your photograph, and you can provide other details. There are many other sections, like it always keeps on showing you how many days are remaining. You can look at your performance, the course watch time, your scores, and so on. You can also download your certificate from here. You can look at your invoices. There are many advantages of being an alumni which you can access from here, and so on. So this was the TechEdge portal which you can access once you enroll for the course. Hi, so before I end, let me summarize. So in the first session of this course, we covered BA role basics, the skills required by business analyst, the coverage of the course, certification, which is ECBA certification, and a few other details. We also had a look at our portal, which is TechEdge. In the upcoming sessions, I'll be talking about the remaining topics at length. Now, each session is going to be recorded and is going to be uploaded in the TechEdge portal, which you can access forever. There is no limitation. This portal can be accessed, or this course access is for life. Now, in the course, when we are conducting these sessions, as you know, this course is going to be 6 weeks long. There will be 12 classes apart from this first session, and each session will be of 2 hours length. The sessions will be recorded, as I mentioned, and it will be available to you for revision. Another important aspect of it is that apart from these sessions which are recorded, the LMS portal, as you have seen, has multiple resources for you to go through and learn business analysis. So I'll conclude this session. See you in the next class.